Hi everybody. I just thought I'd chat to you about this little video that I'm going to do for the applique. It's not really applique at all in a sense. So we're not going to make the applique, you're actually going to draw the applique. Now I've been doing it for a long time. I've been drawing on my applique. In fact, I'm doing it now, right now on the buyer. It takes so long, but it enhances it so much. So we're going to create, or I'm going to create, and if you can, if you want to, some small images on good quality white fabric, and you're going to draw them with pigment ink. What I'm going to say, some people don't like. I don't use paint on fabric, personally. I know that paint will eventually destroy the fabric. I want my things to last a long time. I've checked with Art Lab here in Australia at our art gallery, and it's very much the case that paint is very hard to work with on fabric, and eventually it will eat through the fabric to a certain extent. Not all of it will, but most of it will. So I'm going to use pigment ink in the form of a pen, but you can buy it in a little brush and a bottle. Now, pigment ink is the same ink that fabric is dyed with. It's organic. It's a vegetable dye, and you can actually touch the fabric after you've done it, and you can't tell that you've put anything on there. So it is like a dye, effectively. I mentioned I use white fabric. Sometimes I use coloured fabric, not really bright, but if I did it with green, in the background, and I use these opaque inks on there, I would get a totally different hue. If I use it on beige, I'm going to get another different hue. When I did the alphabet book, it was all done on beige. So then I did the colours very lightly. I didn't do them brightly like this one is. I use a fabric called Japara. Those of you from Australia, you can buy it, and I'll put the URL up later. But actually, Japara is a fabric that's a little, it's very, very, very tight weave, and it's what they use to encase a feather quilt or a feather pillow. So, you could look in the States if you wanted to. It's not necessary to use that. I just wanted to tell you what I use, and it gives me such a nice finish. There's a lot of sizing in Japara, and I use the sizing to my advantage. I never ever wash my fabric, because if you wash the fabric, you're going to take the sizing out of it, and the ink may bleed. Don't use a homespun or anything like that, because it doesn't have a sizing in it. And some batiks, you might think a nice tight weave, but they don't actually put sizing in some of them. So use the fabric with sizing and get a tight weave, and you may have to test them just a little to make sure they don't bleed. We're going to draw the picture with the pigment ink onto the white fabric and colour them in, and then cut around them. But of course I'll go through all that later on. I actually didn't design the pattern for the pattern I'm going to give you. I did this drawing when I was in Mexico and Guatemala, because it was all the areas that I was influenced by, the colours and all those wonderful things. And I actually designed another entire quilt, and it's still not finished, but I'll show you. I will show you. And once you've mastered this technique, you may want to go on and do. Maybe I'll do the other quilt online, and then you can follow along with me, and we'll see how it goes. It's fun. It's a lot of fun to do, and you really, really can't make a mistake. Because when we stitch, you're going to stitch as if you're drawing, and so it doesn't matter if you go outside the lines. And then when we're drawing, I'm going to show you how to stay inside the lines. So let's give it a go. This is a little bit of the background of how the design came about. I guess it's a bit wild, but I had a small sketchbook and I would do the drawings in the evening because I couldn't understand the TV, to be quite honest. And this was the pattern that I used to design the quilt. This is how it came out in the end. And when I'm traveling in Mexico and Guatemala, you know, the colours are just amazing, and these huipils are the beautiful garments the ladies make, and I have to say many of these are mine. The paintings, I always buy paintings and textiles and things like that, and I'm absolutely entranced by the colours and the textures and the combinations, of course. It's just really exciting to see. This was a little piece of fabric that I bought and was just playing with, and it's all wonderful. This is the original drawing, and I've just taken a few of these here to put into this little quilt. But as I said before, I'm happy to do this one later on, not right now. Here's the drawing that I did, and you can use them in any format. And the interesting thing is here that you can make these little corner pieces all joined together and get a pattern. This is the Japara that I use, and the pens. Look, there's lots of different sorts of pigment ink pens, certainly for the black ones. My favourite is this one, and that's a Unipin. You can buy them here in Australia, but you buy them online in the United States. And the reason I like this one is because it has a rounded tip. And I always use a 0.5 for something like this. I do all my drawings with this as well. So it's called a Unipin. And I'll have that all in the notes, but 0.5. Now, we have used microns, haven't we, for years and years and years. The problem with the micron is that it has a square tip and it's very difficult to use with the waft and the weft. It catches in the waft and the weft. You might have experienced that before. Look, I do have some, and I use them when I'm working on paper, not fabric, and that's fine as well. Staedtler, there's lots really. I'm using a 0.3. This is what I'm using in the Bayer right now, so I don't want it too thick, and so this is the one I'm using. And the other pens to colour in is a Fabrico pen. They're about $8 or $9 each. Here in Australia, about $5.50, I think, in the US. But also my favourites at the moment are Faber-Castell, and they have a smaller point, particularly for this smaller work. Now, when I'm working here by myself, of course, I'm going to use the light box, but that's horrible on your eyes. So I'm going to draw it without the light box. You can see through adequately. If you want to pin it, you can. Beg your pardon, tape it, you can. But I just hold my hand like this and draw. Oopsie, I've gone over, but that doesn't matter, because I'm doing it on the camera and I have to lean over, so I just draw it, the outline, like that. Now, you don't have to, let me lift this up. You don't have to do these little curly wigs here. You don't have to do these or these or these or this. But you do have to do this one and the leaves and everything that's in here. I'm going to draw it off camera because I'm at a funny angle here. So you do need to do that, and we need to leave enough space to fit everything in there. So I'll do this off camera and then show you. So that's all you need to do. Just this little bit, the legs and all the rest, you put in later. So the leaves are all done separately. The little curly bits in the top here are all done on separate pieces of fabric. I generally actually do all one piece on the piece of Japara, and then I know that I've got them correct. There you can see. Oops, it's horrible, isn't it, that? So there we go. So that's pretty much how I do it. And now I'm going to show you the colouring. I've actually placed the fabric on this silicone sheet. It doesn't move. Can you see? It doesn't move here. And you don't have to pay a lot for it. These come from Costco. You get $16 for 3. And if you go to the quilt shops, it's much more expensive. Sorry to tell you that, but that's the way it is. And so I just buy them at Costco. It holds the fabric really well. Now this is a Fabrico pen, and it has a brush one end. I had to get a new one because the ones I'm using for I can't get the top off. There we go. Can you see that's got a point? And for this fine work, the point is quite good, but I'm going to do the body in red. So I'm going to use the bigger pen, and I hold the pen like a chopstick. It's not always possible to do that, but I do. Oh my goodness, I'm going outside the lines. No, that's deliberate, folks, because we're going to cut it off. Now see, if I hold it sideways like that, look, watch this. You see, I can get a nice soft line. If I hold it like a pen, I can only do small strokes. So I generally try to fill with, and you see I get a smoother effect. I don't want this to look like that, and I don't colour like that. I don't want to see where the lines join, and I want to fill it completely because it's the ink is soaking into the fabric. Now, because I'm using the silicone matte, I've got a little texture. Can you see that texture? But I can colour it in, no props. See? And it's not bleeding. If I find that it bleeds, I go straight to the iron and iron it, and it will stop it. If you can hear a funny noise like water, it's not me. It's my computer. It's it's backing up, and I can't change it. I can't turn it off. So there we go. Now that'll dry about excuse me, about 5 shades lighter. Maybe not quite that. A little bit raggedy around the edges here, but I'm going to put another dark colour on there, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to press this now, and the only reason I'm pressing it is to dry it so that I can put the next colour on. Maybe I will do, I'm going to turn this. I draw better down. I sew better sewing down. I always turn my work. So you can see now I'm going to turn it and just, here we go. It's scary drawing outside the lines, really. Yeah, that's my computer backing up, which is a jolly nuisance. I didn't realise, and this is the only day I have to do this, so we have to put up with it. Oh, darn it, I went in there a little bit. Never mind. So it looks a bit messy, doesn't it? But I have an overall cover of it. So now I'm going to take it to the iron and press it so that I can put the next colour on. Otherwise, the colours would bleed into each other. Sometimes I use that to my advantage, but today I don't want to. Now this is to prove that it's ink. You can see it's come through to the back. So it's soaked right through. It's actually dyed it. It's not sitting on the surface and it's not crunchy like paint. So there you go. Now it has dried quite a bit lighter. You see? I can go back over there and make it darker if I wish. Sometimes I do, but I don't really want to today. Now, I have, see, I'm going to turn it because I can move my hand better, down. Green. So I'm going to use now the Faber-Castell. These are fabulous. I got a box of 100. And I bought them online in the States. Can't buy them here. I'm making sure that I absolutely fill that colour. So it's not like this. It's like this. Can you see? I hope you can see. Yeah. It's like going to kindergarten, really. It's very hard. It's been very hard staying home. But, you know, I'm just very lucky that I can do all this, and we've been very lucky with health and things like that. The internet is amazing, and so I keep in touch with everybody by the internet. And yesterday I was talking to my grandchildren in Durango. They've just bought a new house, and they have a woods right behind it, and I said to the 3.5-year-old, Tasman, you are not allowed to go into the woods on your own because, what's that big cat you have? I forget what it's called. That cat will get you. I said, and it eats little kids. And he looked at me and he said, Grandma, not a problem. I'll just take 2 bottles of tomato sauce and squirt them in the eye. So they have an answer for everything, don't they? So that's pretty much how I do it. And I would fill the whole thing in completely. Sometimes going back over, if I want the red darker, I would go back over it. But I think the most important thing is that they be completely filled with colour rather than look like a coloured pencil. Now, in saying pencils, you can use Derwent Colours, no, not Derwent Coloursops, Derwent Inktense pencils and wet them. You're going to get a much soft effect. But I personally prefer the pigment ink. And I use pigment ink all the time for other things as well. I really love playing with all of these colours. They're fantastic, aren't they? You need to put fusible on the back of the white fabric that you've drawn on. Just put them to a side. Then choose colours that those little applique pieces are going to go down on. So you're going to make little blocks of colour. Reverse your pattern and put it on a light box, and then you can see where to trace around the area of the blocks of colour. Fuse that then to the back of the fabrics you've chosen. And I've just shown here, I've put it on the light box and you can see through what it's going to look like. It's going to look brighter than that, of course, because it's already on a light box. Then you cut out your little tiny pieces. I don't want to see any black around it, so cut it so you can't see the black and fuse them to those little blocks of colour. Then those little blocks of colour are fused and you put them onto a piece of black. And I just cut a piece out and then just cut around the edge, sometimes 1/4 of an inch, sometimes 1/8 of an inch. So this is what the quilt looks like when I've put the little tiles down, and I have then added the little swirly bits, the legs, and it's stitched down with free motion right on the very edge, but I'm not going to demonstrate that here. I'll do another little video to show you how I do that. I think this one's long enough as it is. These little fish are done exactly the same way, and this is the little quilt it was on, and it's just so whimsical. I just love it. This is just ink and black Aurifil thread, and no applique on here. It's a whole quilt, whole cloth quilt, and it's lots of fun. Similar technique though. So I've just put in the things that I've used, the pens that I've used, and these are the Faber-Castell. Now, I think the free motion foot's important. I use a Janome, and this combination free motion foot is fantastic. Works like a long arm because you can see it's got 2 little springs on there. And I would use a 70 stroke 10 sharp needle and 50 weight Aurifil. So that's about it, really. Here's the Frida quilt. As you can see, it's not finished, is it? Look, I want it to be a little crazy, and there has to be 2 monkeys up the top with their tails hanging down and 2 parrots flying in from the corners. So I've yet to do those, as you can see. This is it in process. Frida herself is completely appliqued, and of course you see the black and white on her, that's drawn on the white fabric, cut out, put on, as is pretty much everything, her dress, the frill. And the flowers down the bottom, it's just fun to do. I've just given you some details of how those little tiles are placed. So this is my gift to you in this time of tragedy, which it really is. It's for you to do, not for you to teach. I'm most happy for anybody to do it.